Oh, hi. Hello. How are you, son?
I'm
How
amazing. How are you?
I'm okay. I was getting annoyed 5 minutes ago by a friend of mine. Just kept talking and talking, talking. I was
Oh,
tired. What about you? Did you have to endure any annoying people
I was
today?
also talking to this chick. She, for some reason, was looking very annoyed. I don't know why.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like, okay, fine. I'm only talking about my 9 to 5 job.
No, the 9 to 5 job is interesting. I think it's the person themselves, the entity itself is annoying. I think that's what happened. But that's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so last week, all of this would have affected me because it was just Mads Mikkelsen. But this week, no matter what you say, I don't care. The whole world can leave me. I have Charlize Theron.
I understand. I understand that sentiment. Yes. This is
So
a interesting movie for both of us, right? It's
it's, oh my God, I can't even tell you how how long my crush dates back. Crush for Charlize Theron dates back to. I think it started with like the Italian Job.
uh,
Uh,
hmm,
yeah, the Italian Job
okay.
and Hancock and all those movies. I did not. I still haven't seen her Oscar-winning Monster. But apart from the crush part, I think like part of that charm, apart from her hotness and all, part of that charm also had to do with how amazing she was in those small roles, in those supporting roles. And I always felt like she has so much more to give. I still haven't seen the Oscar winning Monster. I have
Yes.
yet to see. But I think my favorite performance of hers has to be Young Adult
Yeah.
as Jason Reitman. Have you seen Young Adult?
No, I've not. I've heard a lot
Okay.
about.
You've seen Tully, right?
I have seen Tali.
Yeah, it's the same director, Jason Reitman. So I think like there's this, I don't know, they have this sort of camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Like he always brings out the best in her.
Hmm.
But this week, I think we are talking about a completely different side of us. Like, yes,
Yeah,
she's a great actress, but
she's a great actress. She's also proven her mettle in furiously in Mad Max, and I mean, Furiosa is the beginning of her reign, in my gentle opinion, like of what she truly is capable of, because she kind of gets because of how beautiful she is. Like there was another fantastic film with Seth Rogen where she did
long shot.
played a presidential character. It was
Dude,
such a good film.
2020 had long shot and the movie that we're going to discuss today.
Yes, yes, and this is, I mean, the reason I get so enamored by her in like movies like Long Shot is because it is so unlike what is expected of her.
Hmm.
Because you see like actresses and the pop stars and stuff who are right now, in the same generation as she is, who have entered the industry at the same time as she did, and the experimentation of her roles became far more interesting and far more varied over time in
Hmm.
comparison to her counterparts. I'm not saying that they did not do experimental cinema like she did, but she really kind of leaned into it. She decided that, oh, I'm going to make this interesting for me. So I love that. Like, it's like this is her own journey. And if you guys like it, great. And if you don't like it, I don't care. But she's just happy just doing something new and different every time. Like
Hmm.
for me, Long Shot was that. Like seeing her prepare and do these little things that you see women, in their regular lives do, like put a spoon in the freezer and like put that on her eye to get rid of dark circles and stuff like that. You don't expect heroines of that stature ever doing a role that way. Like
Yeah.
Mad Max is a phenomenal film. Like the whole thing ties up so beautifully around Furiosa's character. But Long Shot is something so absurd, and to be cast in a kind of comedy, but also calling out, the hypocrisies of the general, society that we live in. It's kind of weird how she picks these roles. Like, that's what I find fascinating about her. And to think that she was in The Astronaut's Wife. And have you seen that movie?
Um,
It's a weird film. It had Johnny Depp in it, and yeah, it's just a weird film. I'm not saying it's a bad film or a good film. It's a weird film, and everyone should check it out.
okay.
but but yeah, it she has been pushed in again, like, see, like, in a role that way, like Astronaut's Wife, where she plays this bombshell wife, and she's very pretty and very alluring, mysterious character. But that's where it ends for her in those kind of movies. But the movie that we're going to talk about today is very dear to us. And before we get into that, all I want to say is thank you, thank you, thank you for the views you've given us in our previous video. Uh, we put out the movie The Hunt last week, and I'm so happy that people watched, because we were very afraid to talk about that movie. We, we were we were kind of like,
Actually, we I think we dismissed this movie so many times
yeah,
because of the same reason, right?
yeah,
Like we wanted to talk about this since the
yes,
beginning of our YouTube channel,
yes.
but never had the courage to do it.
Nope.
So yeah, it does feel validating.
Yeah, to talk about films that, because there is feel good cinema, there's funny cinema, there's fantastic action flicks going around right now. But there are some movies that are good action flicks, but they have such a great storyline that you cannot ignore it. And that's why this movie is very special to us. And anyone who has been observing this channel probably knows what we're talking about, because um, for the most part, we are just really excited that people are now starting to watch the movies that we kind of anticipate to not get views in general. So that's what makes us happy. One,
Yeah.
two, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are returning to this channel, thank you. And if you are new to this channel, welcome. And please subscribe, please like, please share if you like what you've heard so far. And let's get into one of the greatest, most underrated action flicks I have seen. Uh,
Which,
I guess like in the past 5 years,
yeah.
maybe.
And it's
Uh,
certainly not called The Young Killer. No,
it's not RRR. It's not because you
I'm
say
talking about the
action flicks.
opposite.
You think, what do you mean?
The opposite of the movie that we're talking about. It's
The young?
The
Oh, I
Young
thought you
Killer.
said young adult. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Only you. Only that is funny only to you. I just want to make that amply clear. It
Like I
is.
said,
It is funny
your
only to you.
your
But
validation doesn't matter to me today. I have Charlize Theron.
I understand. I completely understand. So let's get into
Okay.
the old guard. The
Yep.
old guard. And this title is very smart. It's picked very, very perfectly considering what the story is. And I think it is one of Madame Theron's finest. Like, the very, it
What did you say?
came finest.
Sorry, you cut off.
I said it's one of Madame Theron's finest.
Madam Theron. Okay. I thought you forgot her name. In
It's
my
not.
defense, you've done that quite a lot in the past.
Yeah,
So
okay. Yeah, okay. I like that that's what is important to you right now. To nitpick of my mistakes that I make as a human person. And I hope whoever is watching sees what I have to deal with on a daily basis. A very mean, condescending kind of partner. But that's okay. That's okay. Can you hear the airplane? Because I can. It's so loud right now.
maybe it's my heartbeat.
No, it's coming from outside my window. It's not your heart. Okay, anyway.
Please,
Let's
if
get
like
into.
I know a million to one possibilities, but if Miss Theron is watching this, So yeah, that's the reason why it's my heartbeat.
Okay, great. So let's talk about
Uh,
let's talk about how this movie came into our life. So you told me about this movie. You said, "Oh, you have to watch this movie." Uh,
yes.
and you watched it when? I forget which year.
This was right in the middle of the first lockdown. I remember Extraction had come out.
Yeah.
It is also a Netflix movie,
Hmm.
The Old Guard, just like Extraction.
Yeah.
And I did not get why people were going gaga over it. And
Yeah.
then this came out, and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So it
Female
when I
lead
saw
being
it,
the reason, maybe.
uh, I don't know. Maybe so. I think it may be because the story is quite it is very content heavy. Like there is a lot of explanation that they have to do, and
Yeah.
that might show away a lot of Netflix viewers who want like
Action,
something
action.
to happen every single minute. So
Yes,
that is not something that the old guard wants to even attempt.
I agree. I
I
think
think
that's what
that
happened as well.
yeah. But so okay. So this movie is directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She, if you don't know about her, she has directed last year's Woman King. Okay. And when I was
Ooh.
rewatching this one, The Old Guard, I drew some parallels between the two. One is the amazing repeat value that the action sequences have. Like my favorite thing about the Woman King, yes, I connected with the story. Like I I went I went with the emotional message that they wanted to give and everything. But my favorite thing about the Woman King is the action sequences.
Yeah.
And and the Old Guard, when I was rewatching it, I was so the best things about a great action movie is that so the thing that we always love about in action sequences is the shock value, right? So it's
Hmm.
always difficult for an action sequence to have a repeat value, and
Yeah.
that is something like Woman King has, even the Old Guard has. So
Yes.
that is one thing that's common, and the second thing that's I think is common between the two is how she can narrate so much, and it just feels like water flowing. it
Yeah.
it always feels it's never it doesn't feel heavy.
No,
I
it
think
really
that
does.
yeah, I think that is something that the old guard did, but I think yeah, it might have uh shooed people away because it starts off with a lot of explanation before it gets to its first
Yeah. Yeah.
action sequence. Yeah.
I think Olgard is really fascinating because there's this fantastic tweet from I, from one of the comedians I follow where he said, I love discovering something, maybe long after people have found it and watched it and stuff like that. And then you think, oh, it's so niche and it's so underrated and no one knows anything about it. But then you go to the Reddit boards and then there are full-fledged wars going
Mhm.
on about the theories and the character and the actress in question and
Because the
even this.
world is so big, right?
Yes.
It is adapted from a graphic novel. I think it
Yeah.
has multiple volumes of it.
Yeah, it does. And
Yeah.
it's also a very interesting film because they are taking their time to make the next one. The next one is coming out now,
Oh
almost
yeah, it's
three
coming
years
out this year.
Yeah. So people who have not watched this movie, and if you don't want spoilers, my suggestion right now is like leave. Like leave right now, take the suggestion from us and just leave, watch the movie, come back and
Yeah.
listen to us yap about it. But the the reason the movie is so interesting is because they have spoken about, let's start spoiling, they've spoken about immortality in a way that makes complete sense. There is a
Yeah.
dialogue that haunts me in that movie. Even today, it haunts me where she's kind of, Charlize Theron is sitting in like some kind of airplane kind of a thing with this young girl, and they're having a conversation about God and immortality and what supernatural whatever, and the girl is kind of not being able to understand what is happening around her, so she's like, I have my faith, I have my God, I'm going to pray to him and everything is going to be fine. And Charlize Theron looks at her and immediately says, "You do realize that I was worshipped as a god, right?" And that that line, it haunts me because it really makes you think as a person that if God exists, right, and if we were made in their image, then yes, it would make complete sense for like the superhumans and the super gods to just exist amongst us. And that's kind of what the movie's about. And I think that is why it is so underrated, because people don't want to maybe broach that topic from that angle. But it was such a smart way to talk about immortality. And that's what I love about it. Said, imagine the only distinction between a god and a human being is their immortality, and that getting devalued over time, where I don't care if you're immortal, like.
But then humanity has done it, like over several years,
Yeah.
it has very conveniently sometimes anthropomorphized any divine power.
Yes. Yes. And
That has always happened.
that has always happened. And that's the fascinating part of this movie, that they speak about it, because it is very easy to start insulting faith and religion when talking about immortality. They don't do that. They talk about it from a perspective of, you're right, gods exist, but this is also their story. It's not always wings and heaven and clear blue skies and fluffy clouds. It's sometimes also this, because it must be hard to be an immortal, which means you witness everything. And when you witness everything, you kind of lose faith in what was created around you. And I think that's kind of what the story is, where you start off with finding out that she has taken a break, and you don't know what the break is about, but she wanted a break. And then her team of, she basically seems really cool and suave, and she's walking in with her gorgeous tank top and her jeans, and she just looks, I have such a big crush on her, just the way she walks. I mean, it's a queen's walk. Her walk in every movie, it's a freaking queen's walk. And she just kind of showed up with her aviators, and she's, just kind of nonchalantly being awesome. And
She's a proper action star.
she is custom made for action movies. And I'm so excited to see what comes next for her from here, because Mad Max is, if people haven't watched Old Guard, that's fine. But you watched Mad Max, she's capable of something really crazy and really out there when it comes to action cinema. So I'm just I'm so happy we're talking about this movie. Like, this is such a good day.
We shouldn't forget Atomic Blonde as well. Like,
Yes, yes. But Atomic Blonde is all Charlize Theron. It's not. The story is, it's entertaining, but Old Guard story is wow. It's really
yeah. So yeah, I think Old Guard is. So Mad Max was a lot about Max as well. Atomic Blonde, as you said, like it worked. It only works with Madame Theron, as you would like to say.
Yes.
But in the Old Guard, it's like great story, and it sits well with her image, her action image, right? So I think, like, yes, she's a perfect action star, and she has established that in several movies and even in this. And there's this thing that action stars have, which is the swagger and laid back attitude, right? But here, if you think about it, here the laid back attitude actually makes sense, because she has been around for so many years.
Yes.
So
but she just does not care anymore.
She doesn't care about anything. Like, nothing surprises her.
Yes, nothing. Nothing baffles her anymore.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot of times when action stars do that. Like, there's this very specific actor that I don't like when he overacts about these things. I don't want to say his name, but his name might rhyme with bomb proofs. But yeah, a lot of times he does play like the know-it-all, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't make sense, but here it totally makes sense.
I admire his action aura, obviously, because what he does is crazy. I mean, it is truly nuts what he does.
Yeah.
he does his own stunts. And so I think so does Charlize Theron in this movie and Mad Max. She did her own
Oh
stunts.
yeah, she is.
So
Yeah, it's not just the acting, the stunts that she's done. Even like that one, right? When the people infiltrate their castle or whatever
yeah,
in right outside Paris. That
yeah,
is such a great action
yeah.
sequence.
Mhm. You're
I
right.
think, yeah, she's everything.
She
I don't know.
she's really she's really interesting person as well. I mean, if you hear her talk about how to allure men, she's like, just walk with your back straightened, posture perfect. Just walk and think murder in your brain. And she's like, I can't explain why, but it works. And a couple of women tried that and they posted videos about how that did attract someone's attention on the street.
Oh.
And then you think, and then you start watching her walk differently from after that like piece of information, the little tidbit. It's like, is that how she thinks in her brain always? That I'm about to like rain blood on everybody. Like, is that what it is? Because she is her acting in this
Hmm.
movie. I mean, let's go into the story. So,
Yeah.
what exactly? How does it start? There is a person who is interested in giving her a contract of some kind,
Mhm.
and
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I'm sorry, what?
Chiwetel Ejiofor, right?
The actor, I don't know his name.
From 12 Years a Slave.
Yes. Oh my God.
Solomon Northup he played.
He looks so different in this movie.
Yeah. Why would they take someone unknown? Like it is a very I don't know. The character's got layers, right?
Yeah,
His
yeah,
character.
yeah. It does. It really
He's
does.
also he also has a great backstory.
He has a
We'll get to
fantastic
him.
backstory, and he's also one of the most interesting. If there's an anti-hero, there is also officially now an anti-villain because he
Huh.
I think Old Guard has some really great lines as well, talking about good and evil, where someone asks him, so are you the good guys or the bad guys? And one person says, depends who you ask, depends which century. So
Yeah.
I love how they just immediately address that. Said, well, no, we're not the good guys, but it really depends on whose side we were fighting for. And that's kind of how the story unravels, where this one man gives
Hmm.
them a contract and Charlize Theron does not feel okay about it. But her team of these very interesting, cute little nuanced characters tell her, boss, it's been a year. You've taken a break for a year. We need to get back into this. And the project is also really interesting. So it's about a bunch of kidnapped schoolgirls who are being trafficked, I guess, in some way, and they have to go in, bust up that, and save the girls and save the day. So there's this amazing walkthrough of the scene where you see them planning like a covert, like with a lot of strategy and tactics. They're planning how they're going to infiltrate, and so that's why that movie is very interesting. It's not guns blazing. I'm going to kick a door down and just show
Yeah.
up and stuff like that. There is a lot of information about why they do it or how they do it, and there's this amazing dialogue where someone says, how is she so good at this, and how did she know they were coming or something like that. And the guy says she has forgotten more about war than entire armies remember. And it's that is the setup, that she has done war and tactics for so long that she really doesn't care about the outcome of the situation, because she knows that
Hmm.
one way or the other they're going to get attacked, so she goes in with that mindset. And you see immediately in that scene, the second they enter the room, they're looking for the girls and they can't see anyone. And her expression when she realizes that there are armed men inside, and she goes, "Oh, fuck!" And she just like they get shot at in a way which is really, it's blood curling. I have not seen. I mean,
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you see people get shot at in movies all the time, but the way they've shown it, the way they have tried to destroy and kill them it really, it gave me goosebumps. I couldn't get over
They
that.
had to make it. They had to make sure that we see that they are like no one can
Yes.
survive this.
Yes. They had
But
to make
like
sure.
that scene is such like so nicely done in the sense like the first time they get killed,
Yeah.
immediately you have so many questions, right? Like, okay, we know that they are immortal, we know that they can't
Yeah.
feel pain. Okay, but how so if they can't die, that means how long have they lived for?
Yeah.
So many questions you have, and
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. Like, you have this, she has to set up a world, and she's done it so well, so so free flowingly.
Yeah.
I think that
Absolutely.
that is what like got me in the movie. That is what made me sit through the whole thing. I think this is a long movie, right? It's like
Yeah. Because they go over
over
a
two
lot of
hours,
stuff.
over 2 hours, right?
Yeah. They
But
go
yeah, they're
over a lot of
explaining
stuff too. Yeah.
they're explaining so many things,
Hmm.
and it never feels heavy-handed.
No, it really doesn't. And I love the way they show their resurrection. So, generally, when you're
Ah,
dealing with an immortal or a demigod or something, at least what I've seen in the movies is they get shot at and, just bounces off of them and they don't feel anything and whatever else. But they're not showing them as beings that don't feel pain. They feel the death, they feel the pain, they do
hmm,
die. They just come back from that suffering.
yeah.
So,
That is why like they always are very far from main humanity. They're always trying to run because
yes,
they know that like the only thing that they fear is imprisonment
captivity.
because
Yeah,
yeah.
because they can be
And
tortured forever, and because they do feel pain, that is a lifetime of suffering for them. And
yeah.
you also see the way they heal. Like she gets shot in her cheek, literally, and she's kind of
Hmm.
collapsed there with her team, and you see that the bullet kind of like just pushes out of the thing, which means the muscle regeneration is so quick and the bone fixes itself so quickly that it has no room for a foreign object, so it just pushes it out. And as it's pushing out, if you pay attention to the scene, you see that it ruptures her skin again as it's going out. So
Hmm.
it's not like, it leaves her body and she's fine. It ruptures her skin, she bleeds a little bit more, and that again fixes again. And you see them kind of just coming back to life, and then all these people who shot at them are like, oh, no, 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 we need to get out, we need to get, because they were sure that they killed these people. And the speed with which they start shooting at everybody is very typical of like a human being who's very skilled. Like it's not godly and majestic, and it's exactly how a human being um would essentially like get up and keep shooting. That's why they're such interesting people, because this is not about, oh, I'm majestic and I can take down the building with my bare hands. This is not about that. This is like, okay, you had your turn, now it's my turn. And it's kind of very funny almost the way they go about it. And then they notice the cameras and they know immediately that it was a setup. They were being tested to see if they were in fact immortal, and they unfortunately, by resurrecting themselves, proved that. And the person who gives them the project is observing this on his camera from somewhere else.
Hmm.
And it's really interesting to see him in that light, because he closes the laptop and he kind of just uh kind of like moonwalks away from that, because what he has seen is kind of like, I knew they were immortals, but also, oh god, why are there immortals amongst us? And that is, I think, the whole setup of the movie, that they were revered, they were worshipped till they were not, till they were
Hmm.
feared. And that's why this movie is so amazing. It's just so well made. Just because of the first 5 minutes, you know that, oh, this movie is, it's going to just only go upwards from there. That's the rhythm of the film. It just the more information they add to it, the more interesting it gets. And they have followed the graphic novel very like judiciously. They have done it in a way that makes sense while maintaining the cinematic resemblance of it, because that is hard to do. I was watching the
Oh,
show called American Born Chinese, and um, Michelle Yeoh's there, and all of these fantastic action sequences are there in it, but they have stirred away from the graphic novel. They have tried to put their own spin on the action scenes and stuff like that, and the color scheme and stuff like that. That's not the case with the old guard. They have maintained. It's like reading the graphic novel
oh,
on screen. They have maintained the color scheme. They've maintained the fight sequences. It's really well done. Really well done.
okay. I'm really excited for the second movie because the way they've set the villain. It is
Yes.
one of my favorite things in the movie. Uh, so we can talk about it, right?
Yeah,
Let's
we can
spoil
talk.
it.
They've spoiled everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but the immortality happens like we get to know in the first 15-20 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so the villain arc, villain as in like, I don't know if she's a villain, right? Charlize Theron's girlfriend.
We don't know if she's
She,
a villain, but she's 100% looking to avenge herself.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So it was her storyline was like bone chilling to me because like the only reason, so the reason why we get to know first of all, Charlize Theron tells her this thing, right, her student or whatever, that the only thing that they fear is captivity, imprisonment. And
Mhm.
that is because something that has happened to her girlfriend in the past and her is that they were imprisoned. And while she escaped, her girlfriend was kept in a cage and she was dropped in the sea. Her girlfriend again had is also immortal.
Mhm.
So we can imagine like she is dying every single time uh,
Wakes
that
up
she
in the
wakes
water.
up from the water, right? That is so haunting. Like I can't even imagine what that could do to an individual.
Yeah.
She has
And
faced death like probably millions of times
she
in the past
basically
400
was
500 years.
tortured constantly. It's waterlogging. She was just
Yeah,
constantly waterboarding, constantly um and it's even the circumstances under which it happens. They presume they're witches and they try to
yeah.
set them on fire, and they of course don't die. And that's the whole setup of it, that they don't understand why they don't die, so they label them as evil and they try to kill them, and then they separate them because they think they're too powerful together. And
Hmm.
what the worst part is, anyone who is in this realm of immortality, if there are other immortals, right? So Charlize Theron, and I think there is one, two, three, uh, how many in all?
Five.
Five people in all. So they feel the suffering of the other. So
Yeah,
they know that um, she's suffering. And when a new immortal is created, they feel the stab that she gets on her neck, and that's how they know that a new immortal is there amongst them. Which means
yeah.
they have suffered the water boarding for all those years. They couldn't find that girl, and they try to
Mhm.
look for her, which is a sad part. They try to search for her in oceans and seas and pretty much everywhere else that they could have found her, but they just don't. And then one day they just don't find her anymore, which means her powers have escalated enough to
Mm.
become undetectable, which is scary. She's really powerful immortal. Like,
That was the scariest part of the movie for me. It wasn't the action sequence or anything. Like just to imagine like somebody's dying every single minute
yeah,
for the last 400 years.
yep.
And these guys feel pain. These guys feel pain as just like any
Just like
normal human
humans.
being.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like when the new immortal stabs her, she's like, please don't do that. Like the way she says it with like so much politeness. Please don't do that. It really hurts. She just takes it off. But
She might
I
as well say, "Ow, Charlie. Ow."
yeah. And I think that's what I love about the story as well, where they say that it's not a permanent thing. It's more like, and they're not born into it either. That's what is fascinating about them. It's not like they're born immortal. they reach a particular age and suddenly they just don't die. And that's the story. That's why they're all at different ages. And there's this one great scene where you see um, you see Charlize Theron basically explaining how it works, and then she says that, well, it's not that you never die. It goes away at one point, and then she's like, "What do you mean it goes away? What do you mean it doesn't come back?" And then she said, "Well, eh, eh, there's no explanation, but at one point, I think the body just stops healing." So the new immortal says, "So when you shot me in the head, I could have died. Like I wouldn't have come back." And it's like, no, it doesn't apply to you. You're too new.
Yeah.
So the older you get, you kind of become similar to a mortal. It's just that your capacity to heal slows down. That's what,
Mm.
and that's the amazing part of it, where they show our protagonist, our heroine, losing that ability. So at some point in the story, uh, Charlize Theron's character, the old guard, because she's the oldest amongst all of them. She is the mom.
Mhm.
She's the big
The
mommy.
oldest guard.
She gets attacked while they while the person who gave them that contract tries to capture them, basically, and she gets stabbed in the neck or something at that point of time, and she kind of hides that from her team. She doesn't tell them, and she goes to a pharmacy, and you see her looking at all the ointments and all the antiseptic creams and everything, and she's not sure what to do with that. Like she takes a bit of everything, and she's just
Yeah.
confused. You don't know. I love that scene where she's in the pharmacy and she's just looking at all the medicine, and she just like this and this and this and that, and none of them is going to help her with a knife wound. She got knifed in the back. Like she's gonna need stitches and stuff. And she sees, the pharmacy girl
Yeah, it
kind
makes sense that she wouldn't know anything about it.
she doesn't know. She's never had to like heal herself. And also she
Wow.
was created in a time where there wasn't, antiseptic cream and stuff like that available at all. So for it is all new information for her. So even if she was regular before the immortality struck her, there's no way she would understand how to like heal herself. And the girl kind of looks at her, and she's like looking at all the stuff, and she knows that she doesn't know what she's doing. And Charlize Theron goes, "Do you have a bathroom?" And then she says, "No, but we have a storage room where we take naps sometimes." And she fixes her up. And while she's fixing her up, Charlize Theron goes, "You don't want to ask me anything about this wound?" And then she says, "No, you just look like you need help." And you see our great goddess heroine now suddenly reduced to a mortal, and but accepting the help of a stranger at the same time, which is what she kind of is shown as a person who wants this immortality to go away, but she's also very sure that they don't get to decide when it goes away. So their suffering
Mhm.
is elongated because of that. They don't get to decide that, oh, now I'm immortal, now I'm not. Like, they don't, and that's why they suffer. And the whole movie is just a sequence of things happening one after the other. Like you see one piece of information coming out in its in a way which is just so beautiful. You see the poetry in it. Like when you when two of her team members get captured and they're a couple, and the people who
Oh, such a good scene.
right, like, and then they say,
Yeah.
"What is that? Your boyfriend?" Said, "He's not my boyfriend. He, he's the reason I'm alive. He's my moon and stars." Like the dialogue is so
And then before they kiss, they're like, oh my God, you're such a romantic.
and then the cut to next scene when the guards like pull them away. You see all the guards beaten up while they're still in their shackles. It is so funny. They don't have super strength. These characters don't have super strength. That's why they couldn't just break from the shackles that they were in. They don't have, that's why
Ah,
they feel pain. Because if they had super strength, they wouldn't have felt pain. Like that's why these characters are so interesting, that when they're put in those handcuffs, they can't break out of them. They're regular
mhm,
people with regular strength, not superhuman strength, not Mr. Incredible strength, but they can recover from any attack that
mhm,
happens to them. And that's why in that scene where you see like the van doors open and all the security guards kind of dead, they're still in their shackles.
mhm.
Like, look at the continuity of the details. That's what I love about this movie, that they have not broken from the rules of the immortality. Like, what are the rules? The rules are you won't die, but the rules are not you won't feel pain. The rules are not, oh, you will be able to lift a military tank with your bare hands. That's not what the rule is. So you can't fly, you're not invisible, you're not, as an audience, you start realizing that immortality kind of sucks if you don't have superhuman strength, if you can't be
Yeah,
invisible, if you can't fly, it kind of sucks. It's There's nothing about it which, and the fact that you
it
come
anyway
back.
sucks, right?
Yes,
Like apart from the physical aspects of it, it would anyway suck because you
yes,
can't bond with people.
yes,
Your close ones would anyways go
yeah,
away.
go away.
Yeah.
And the team member that betrays them,
Mm,
when they finally mete out the punishment to him, like, you don't get to meet us, you have to live your life alone. And that's the biggest punishment you can give. It's not pain or suffering, it's the
mm,
loneliness that comes from it. And he's also the person who says that you will watch the people around you who you love and who love you start to hate you, because they won't understand why they suffer and you don't, why they age and you don't. And you'll have to leave them suffering, because watching you flourish and keep staying the same age breaks their heart more. And that line is just, it it hits you in the heart. It really does, because there is, I cannot imagine that, to go century after century not meeting, a person who will understand what you're going through, suddenly finding them, and then even
mm.
being jealous of the couple in the group. Say, you've always had each other, we've had nobody. And and that line kind of like, well, it's not their fault they found each other. Isn't it so terrible that they are destined to live this life of immortality even as a couple? That's
Mm.
terrible. They won't get to grow old together. They won't get to see their lives like flourish and like end together. And that's why that this movie is just, I don't know. I have never seen a movie with so much intricate details in a storyline, considering I just watched John Wick 4 and we are at our 1 year anniversary. Today was when we
Oh yeah,
started our
today's yeah. I was gonna tell you. What a
congratulations.
great movie to mark our 1 year.
I know. What a fantastic. It's been a year, guys. It's been an entire year since we started this podcast, and it's been interesting and fun and anger inducing and lovely, and we really love whoever is like sticking around and listening to old Suri and Sank, because we really like doing this. If you can't tell from our very eager faces, I hope you can just tell from the amount of stuff we've done in the past year. So do check out our channel if you haven't already. Sorry for the shameless plug, but do check out our channel. It's some good stuff. You won't regret it.
Yep. I mean, like, I don't think like if you're in the mood for anything specific, you can obviously you don't have to go through all our videos. We have playlists for that. If
Yes.
you want to scare yourself to bits, we have a horror playlist. We have drama, comedy, European cinema, anything that can fit you.
Yeah.
That is something that guarantee on this channel.
Theories for the sequel.
Theories for the sequel. I'm so excited. I really wanted, I really liked to see Dudley in this movie. And I really wanted him to be in the sequel. He died, no? In the end.
Who?
Dudley, I mean, sorry, Dudley as in like Dudley from Harry Potter. The main villain of this movie.
It
The
is Dudley from
megalomaniac.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, yeah. He's an evil, unlike in Harry Potter. Like he was a bully in Harry Potter as well, but again, like he has that retribution thing in the end that he has with Harry.
And
But here he's a proper megalomaniac.
he plays the character of the villain really well, though.
Yeah, and I don't know, like British people are usually well spoken. So when villains speak confidently, it always is scary, right?
Yeah.
But sequel is, I think, yeah, man, that fight, I'm really looking forward to that fight between Charlize and the girlfriend. I think her name is Quinn. Quinn, right? Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that confrontation. Apart, like, I'm pretty sure that the fight is going to be great, but the confrontation, whatever that they're going to talk about, I'm really looking forward to that in the sequel. What are you looking forward to?
Charlize Theron has lost her immortality, and as far as we know, you can't just get it back. So
Mhm.
the fight between her and the lover is not going to be a fair fight, right? If that's true. So they're gonna have to
Hmm.
explain how the immortality leaves and comes back.
Hmm.
They'll have to go into details about that because I don't see I don't see how. I'll also be very fascinated to see how the new immortal um grows into this role because she's a big family person and she did not accept the fact that she cannot meet her family ever again. So I'm
What if
curious to know if something
they
happens.
could even, like, they could even skip like 200 years
Yeah,
and they can show what she has become,
yeah,
right?
yeah. They could. But if they do skip 200 years and they show what she's become, Charlize Theron, they have to explain again how Charlize Theron becomes an immortal again. They'll have to go into detail
Hmm.
about it. So that's the thing. Like, if they do skip 200 years, and I don't think it's about skipping 200 years, I think it's something as simple as we knowing that this other lady is going to come for her.
Ah,
I think
she's
that's what
gonna be so pissed.
yeah.
Like
What?
imagine, like, I always thought about the genie and Aladdin story is like the reason why he gives Aladdin three wishes is because he freed him, right? Like he was trapped for so many years,
Yeah,
and that's the reason why genies give. That's the reason why that lore is there. Like that's the reason why they give people wishes because
hoping that they yes.
they've actually freed.
It's interesting we're talking about freedom because we're talking about Harry Potter and then Dobby the elf and the sock. And yeah, that's interesting to me that we're talking about that because I think the movie kind of shines because of these little elements where I'm curious to know what else they're going to. I've not read anything beyond um the movie on purpose because I want to kind of experience it firsthand from the movie because the movie was so good. And I'm really excited to see how they address the immortal that was abandoned. Because he was literally told your punishment is that you should be alone. That was his punishment. That's why I want to see if new immortals join. I would love for us to see certain immortals not being guided by the old guard. Like what if they're guided by evil?
Hmm.
Because right, because it's for her to say why now, why after so many years, which means there is a possibility that there are new immortals being created. And
Hmm.
I like the idea of that. Like I like the setup for whatever the next movie is going to have. I think it's going to be really good. And anyone who hasn't watched it, guys, go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's great. It's completely anybody who loved Mad Max and loved John Wick, and it is for them. It great action sequences, really good story work, fantastic camera work. Some of the greatest, I think, what you call, like strategy mode. Like if anybody likes to play those video games with, that requires you like ducking behind walls and stuff, this is for them, because this gives
Yes.
you total point of view
Forgot
for.
about I forgot about the plane sequence where
Yes.
oh my god, the fight that she has with her
Yeah.
prodigy. You say prodigy, right?
Yeah, I
So
guess.
she shoots the plane, and first when she shoots the pilot,
Yeah.
and when she shoots, we think that like obviously she doesn't fear the plane crashing because she's an immortal, but
Yeah.
then you get to know that he pilot also is an immortal, but the
Yeah.
prodigy does not know about it. But that is also a great action sequence.
Yeah.
Loved it. But yeah, I'm also pumped for the sequel, mainly because I get to see more of Charlize Theron. In an ideal world, she's a bankable action star.
I hope I hope that this is one of those franchises, where people like don't really know what happened in the beginning, but they catch it somewhere in the middle, and then they go crazy about the origin story and stuff like that. I would love
Yeah.
for this movie to have that. I would love to see Charlize Theron in more movies of her choice. I think of stuff that because she clearly has a good eye for good cinema. She understands, like
Mm.
when she came into a sense of influence and power in her own career, she started doing cinema that she really wanted to do, which shows that she has very good taste. Because like how Matthew McConaughey went from um 10 10 ways to lose a guy, or lose a guy in 10 days, to doing True Detective. And movies like there was this other movie he did which haunts me even today. It had Zac Efron and Reese Witherspoon in it. um it's something Newspaper Boy, like something like that. But basically movies which were not rom-coms, and shows that were not rom-coms. And when you get to see a person reach their epitome of influence, and you get to see what they do with that, like do they go down the same route and do the same movies again and again, or do they just try something different because now they have nothing to lose? And
Mhm.
I think that is the odd thing is, Angelina Jolie tried to do what Charlize Theron did in Old Guard. She tried to do it in Salt and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, with
Mhm.
the action sequences and stuff like that. But I think the reason that did not get the appreciation at that point of time was because it was more of femme fatale, change your hair in the bathroom stall, change your look
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that,
I know what you're saying.
which is great. I mean, I
Yeah.
enjoyed Salt a lot, but you don't get to see that happen in action flicks with men a lot. They just go in guns blazing and they just don't care. And uh why Mad Max and why the Old Guard is special is because it's not about that. It's not about disguising yourself. It's about literally being out in the open, vulnerable.
It's
Uh,
a raw
yeah,
movies.
yeah. And I'm really happy that I'm in a timeline where I can see those movies and appreciate them and feel. I don't know. I've seen boys kind of go really into the action sequences. Like I remember once you had a extra battery of your laptop, and you spent the entire conversation with me holding that thing, some action hero. It was a battery of a laptop, but you were pretending that you were basically storming a room or something. I don't know if you remember, but I remember this vividly. And I've never had that, that that experience as a woman where like, oh, I want to, pick up something and, go guns blazing after something, till Mad Max came in and till Old Guard came in. For me, it was more about, oh, it's the story is great and I want to live in that universe and in that area, and the badassery of it is kind of removed. But this is so good. This is so good for, I mean,
Yep.
for men, women, non-binary alike. It is so good because you need to appreciate the magnanimity of the story to enjoy the character. And that's why we recommend this movie heavily. And we do admire everyone who has stuck out the entirety of this video. And we really hope that you stick around. And sorry about the voice issues. Punk kind of felt on his end he could not hear me. I saw his video speed up. So if you see a bit of choppy editing, it's because we had some technical trouble.
This
But
also happened because people don't pay us only. Ask them to pay us, please.
yeah, we'll put in a link. And if you want to donate, that would be great. We would really appreciate it. We have not reached a point in the channel where we can monetize our videos. As you know, there is a certain amount of subscribers and watch hours required, and we've not gotten there. So if you could, Sank is right. He's right, and I never agree with him, but this time I do. he Yeah, if you could donate, that would be fantastic. And if you want to do something for us without, monetary support, please share this video. Share this video as much as possible. Talk about it with your friends if you like. Tell us about what you enjoy in these videos. Tell us that, and we'll do more of that. And if there's a movie you want us to review, if you've not watched it and you want us to watch it, we can do that. Or if you watched it and you loved it, like, tell us why you loved it and we'll review that. So um we are hoping, that we monetize the channel enough to have other people on here. And who knows, if this channel becomes like big enough and one of your recommendations like really strikes a chord with us, we could have, one of you here with us talking about the movie and giggling about how awesome it is, just like we are. So, uh, but yeah, if there's any way you could support us, we would really appreciate that. And we love you, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.